Hey, folks, just a friendly reminder that all shows on the Madness Comic Network are produced by their individual hosts and in no way reflect the opinions of the network as a whole. The statements in the following broadcast are not necessarily the opinions of the Madness Comic Network, its staff, sponsors, or contributors. This show is rated TVMA, as are all of them and all those other letters. Viewer discretion is highly advised, and, just do what Doc says. Read that again. Peace, everybody.
Flip City Magazine is just really pulling out all the stops, man. Your guys' production value of this magazine has gone insane. I mean, look at that. I mean, I remember when you guys, it was black and white. Even when it was black and white, I thought your quality was great. But damn, they just really stepping it up a notch. Look at this. James Corbett, boys. James Corbett.
Genuinely cutting. But also funny, and obviously just chaotic and very fun.
I love Flip City. It has brought new types of badassery and integrity to the print medium.
The Madness Comic Network and comic-related madness proudly presents Madness Tuesday Morning Brew. Tune in to our content on Comic Talk with Pops Van Zandt on YouTube.
Hello. Good morning. It's Tuesday. It's here. It's here. It's here. The brew is here. I'm so glad to hang out with y'all today. It's a beautiful day in Texas. We ain't got no rain. It's going to be beautiful. We're going to be in the pool later for sure. What do I got to say about Path of the Pale Rider? Oh, yeah, that we're launching issue number 5 on Friday. Oh, my God. I honestly can't believe we're this far. Everything has been fulfilled from issue 4 in the trade paperback. It's all caught up. So we're ready to start going again. Why not? We got new stuff. I gotta give you a little peek at the Kickstarter. We got some really cool stuff. If you haven't seen this page, I have GIFs set up so you can recap, previous issues. I mean, the new issue looks fabulous. Gilbert Perez is just knocking it out of the park, man. I'm so glad that he is with us. He's going to do some great work. And this issue is just nuts. I cannot wait to see how it all turns out. Because he was looking for something that had like some more action and was like something that was ongoing. And I was like, well, I have the treat for you. Because not only are we got a few issues that we still got to knock out of the park, but we got a lot of action and you're getting thrown right into it. So this one is a wild ride. I've said it a lot of times, but we're kicking off like the middle part of the arc where Jude gets, he figures out what he needs to do and then everything goes wrong. So the next 4 issues are wild. So we got lots of good stuff. The only thing that I don't have, of course, is the Marco DeFeo cover. He's always the last one. So this is not the cover. This is the cover for the trade paperback. I just put it there to save the space. But here's the t-shirt we're going to be making. It's so freaking cool. You'll have died of dysentery and Big James. So that's the new design. Look, we're going to have a jigsaw puzzle. Oh, so cool. The hot sauce sampler pack. Yeah, we got some really cool stuff coming. I got an updated secret reward that I have to learn how to use some new equipment in order to do it. I'm excited. So, and this is super cool too. I wanted to show you guys that the original art that Gilbert did for the cover, he drew it traditionally on Bristol board, 11 by 17 Bristol board. And this is up for grabs on the campaign. There's only one. It's not in a tier, it's in the add-ons. So that's where you get it. So anybody can get it. They can add it onto their existing tier. It's pretty pricey, but it is original. And there's only one of them. And gosh, it's like, the passing of the torch moment. So it's pretty historic for us. So we got lots of, really great stuff. You'll see all the new poker cards and oh, I didn't tell anybody. This is brand new too. This is exclusive. I haven't released this yet. This is one of the stretch goals. This is the POTPR octopus from Matt Chambers. So we got some really cool stuff coming. Yeah. Just a reminder that you can watch all the videos. The Ellie bloopers will be there. All of it. Here's Gilbert. I have to show you guys though. I put in this funny part. So we were talking about contracts, right? I'm not going to show you the whole thing. Anyway, so we were talking about contracts, right? Because you got to do that as a creator.
Oh my gosh. So we picked up where we left off. We're about 9 years into the apocalypse and Jude St. Clair runs into some familiar faces.
So I had to put it in the video. Anyway, we're going to have fun. We're going to do our thing. We're going to have a blast. We're going to do all those cool things when it goes live. So join us. I have a launch party set up. 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we go live. I'll walk you guys through the campaign. You can see all the ins and outs. Gilbert will be there for the launch party, so y'all can talk to him and ask him questions. I've invited the Zombie Bros and Corissa Grant and anybody else who wants to come on and just kind of keep me sane. That's great because, you always feel like you need that paper bag at that moment. Enough about me. Let's talk with our guest. Returning guest today, Edward Davis. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good.
Good. Welcome back to the Brew. I'm excited to have you. I'm excited to hear about what you've been up to since it was like a year ago, probably, that you were on.
At least that, yeah, because you always catch me during my summer break. So this is the time I'm available. Because normally, if it's this time, I'm in the class teaching, and
Cool, yeah.
you can't sneak away from that. So yeah, this would definitely be a summer return, so we can look back and like, okay, next summer, we'll have new stuff and probably book again.
I think we need to do that. We just have to have an annual check-in on the Brew and see what Ed is up to.
That works.
Right? Mm-hmm. So for those of you in the chat who have not met Ed, Ed, why don't you reintroduce yourself very quickly and just to remind people what you do and all that good stuff.
So I'm Ed Davis. I write 2 series now. I think last time I talked to you, we only had 1 at the moment. Yeah. So my main series is Immortal Era. It's a story it's centered 200 years in the future in a world where everyone has become immortal. And it's a quest by our group of heroes to restore the natural life cycle and save humanity by killing them. So it's ongoing. It'll be a 24-issue series when it's all said and done. I try to get out about 3 new ones a year, and I just released issue 9. So issue 9, I just fulfilled that Kickstarter, and now we're about to turn around, and issue 10 is getting colored, so it'll be coming around quick as well. So yeah, that one's moving as quick as I can. I mean, I wish I could be as fast as Corissa, but no one's as fast as Corissa besides Marvel. So Marvel keep up with her now, so she's moving too fast. But yeah, I'm trying to get 3 new ones out a year. When it's all said and done, it'll be 24 issues, and it's really, at this point, it's building a lot more mythology every issue. So issue 9 built a lot of mythology, and I did a story with Travis for one of the collectives. Yeah. And when I did that collective one, it has so much mythology for the series in it that it's like, all right, if my readers didn't get it, they missed a lot of stuff. So I definitely need to reprint that when I do my next trade. So hopefully I'm hoping next January, I'll be putting out trade number 2 for the book. And that would have to include that because it introduces a major character, and it also tells, right, what happens to all the souls that are trapped on Earth. Because not when everyone died, it all started in the year 2000. So anyone who died around that time didn't automatically get down to hell or up to heaven. Some just end up trapped on Earth. So that story introduces that whole concept. So yeah, it's fun. It's a big world building one. And then I have my second series, Corruptor, which when I originally wrote it, it wasn't planned to be connected universe, but then I ended up making it a big connected universe story. So it's set in the same universe as Immortal Era, but before immortality comes into the world. And it's about a mafia hitman who gets killed in his final job. And then immediately he gets recruited by Hell because Hell's trying to beat Heaven in the race to gather souls. So both sides, they have no reason for it besides they just want to win. And they know that the Immortal Era is about to begin. So they're just racing to get as many souls as they can so they can basically just kind of the other side. So Hell recruits our mafia hitman, and they use him to corrupt souls. So they said, okay, there's these souls. There's some are guaranteed to go to heaven. Some are guaranteed to go to hell. But there's these other ones that are kind of stuck in the middle. Your job's to do 1 or 2 actions to ruin those souls and make sure they go down to hell. So
what's his main what do they say? Modus like what's his plan to do that? Does he have like, okay, I go in and I tempt him this way, or like how does he do that?
He tried, like the first soul he goes into in issue 1, he knows, like he knows everything about them. When he goes into their head, he knows all their past, their memories. Them? Yeah, he basically sees these souls walking around the street, and he can just enter that soul, and for 48 hours he controls them.
Oh my Lord.
It's as someone said, one of the reviewers, I don't think he liked the book. He was getting a little pissy with me on the interview, and he's like, this is just like Quantum Leap for assholes. I'm like, dude, that's beautiful.
Wow.
I'm like, I love it.
You were like, I'm using this as a...
And I even told him, because he was being
on a blurb.
He he was being all pissy and whining, like, I don't want to do these. I'm interviewing all these indie guys. I'm like, you wanted a podcast to interview indies, so you got what you got. But now you gave me my direct quote. I'm going to put that on the cover because that was beautiful.
Assholes.
So, yeah, he gets in, he controls them. He gets 48 hours to ruin the soul and make sure they go to hell. And his first time he goes in and he knows that this woman has been thinking about her crush from back in elementary school. So she calls him and makes her have an affair with the guy. And it just leads to crazy outcomes. So it doesn't go the way he wants.
Not them making the decision. So they're still damned, even though they're not making the decision to do.
No, he has to nudge them toward the decision. And then let's say when he leaves the soul, they have to continue making the bad decisions.
Gotcha. He just lines it up.
Yeah, so he has to line it up, and then if she wakes up and realizes, what the hell, what did I do? I didn't want to be with this guy. I'm with someone else. Then her soul remains. It's the gray souls. She remains gray. But if she's like, ooh, this was great, I want more of it. Now she's actively choosing to continue the affair, and her soul starts to move more and more toward the red souls, which are the ones going to hell. And all the souls in this realm right now that he's dealing with are ones that heaven and hell know are going to die before the immortal era begins. Because if they make it to the immortal era, they're going to live forever. So what's it matter if they're corrupt or non-corrupt? So he has to get them before then.
Do you ever reveal in the immortal era what causes that? Or is it something that was predetermined?
I do that right away. I go in issue 2, we see what brings in immortality.
Gotcha. Because it sounds like these a-holes knew it was coming and did nothing about it.
They tried to do stuff, and that's actually something with making the connected universe. Yeah, it's a coven of witches that basically manipulate someone into causing immortality, and we see. Oh shit. That's spoiler stuff. I'm thinking, all right, that's issue 12 spoilers.
No spoilers, consequences. Wait, I gotta play the thing. Hold on, where is it?
Consequences.
So, yes, we see what causes immortality, and we also see that especially hell tries to stop it from happening. They're not pleased about the fact that these witches are going to manipulate the world and essentially cause immortality. So they try to block it, but they have limitations to what they can do because hell and heaven are kind of trapped in their realms. They can talk and they can manipulate other people that are from their realm, like our Corruptor. They have someone called the Auditor. He can go down to earth, kind of control him, but humans, they have no power over.
Right.
So they can try to control the humans, but they would have to get one of their corruptors or redeemers. That's what the angel ones are called. So every time someone performs a successful corruption, the corruptors start to get little horns that they start tiny and get, and starts to churn every time they're successful. Our Corruptor completely botches his first job, so he's not successful, but he sees people who are, and then the heaven isn't happy that they have a potentially great Corruptor, so they have to get their hands, and they're trying to manipulate him as well. So issue 1 ends with an angel coming down saying, hey, we see you're working with hell. We'll give your soul a chance of redemption if you come and work for our side. So you have heaven and hell pulling our person any direction they can because they both want to win. For, like I said, just for the sake of taunting the other side.
So this guy grows horns. His horns grow longer when they're successful. Is that how that works?
Yeah. So the guy that we see right there, it's kind of even on the cover. There's a spoiler. We don't know him as anything but the Rat. So the guy who's in red, he was the one who actually set Tony up to die. So Tony is the one on the bottom. He's the actual Corruptor, and was the mafia hitman. And I mean, I guess I can give minor spoiler stuff since it's published, but the rat takes a hit out on Tony's sister, so Tony would have to perform the job of killing his own sister. And any job you fail on in Tony's family, you're automatically now marked for death. So Tony,
but how do you win that? That's an impossible situation. Kill your sister or be marked for death. Dang, some John Wick level stuff.
And that's what he realizes. It's like, okay, I can't win here, but I'm not going to kill my sister. He's very close to actually completing the job, but something stops him. I won't spoil the entire book, but yeah, he's stopped for a specific reason. He then is trying to flee, but he gets to his home and realizes everybody's already there. All the crew is there. And in this final battle, he kills the rat who set him up. That's why we see the rat. And as we can discover, the rat was also recruited as a corruptor and is doing a much better job than Tony.
I was going to say, he's got much longer horns. I don't see any horns on Tony in this picture.
No, Tony didn't do so well in his job, and he's only tried one. And the rat is thriving in this environment because the rat was always chasing Tony. He always wanted to be as good as Tony, but they didn't trust him as much. And he finally found a place where he can be better than Tony. And I mean, spoiler stuff, but oh well. He definitely likes to gloat that, yeah, look at you weakling, look at me. I'm making all the right corruptions, and I'm more powerful than you. And now Tony, who could have beat his ass in real life, can't even touch him.
But what's the incentive for Tony here? Because they recruit him to corrupt things, but what are the corruptors, what are they going to give Tony in return?
They don't make him go to hell. So essentially he gets brought down to hell. The auditor comes, Tony's sitting there watching his own funeral in the beginning of issue 1. And the auditor comes up to him, goes, okay, the boss wants to have a meeting with you. And Tony's like, I don't give a shit about your boss. And he's trying to beat the auditor up. And the auditor's just kind of like flicking him away, like, all right, when you're done whipping your dick around, let's go down and visit hell. And he goes down to hell and Satan says, okay, here's your alternative. Look out there. That's hell. You want to burn there forever and suffer eternity, or you work for me and you don't have to go deal with all that. So that's essentially his motivation is, all right, you have no good choice. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, really. And he realizes he'd rather not burn in hell forever. So he goes up and works as a corruptor.
But he just does a crappy job.
He does a crappy job.
I guess that's one way to win. You could do all the work and just never succeed.
Oh, no, hell has goons because he just tries to avoid corrupting. He thinks, all right, I suck at this, so I'm just going to kind of wander. And hell has people that they send out to make sure he's doing the job. And if he doesn't, then they just beat his ass and go, okay, you got this much time to get back to work, or we're going to drag you back down to hell. And this time the boss won't be talking to you. We'll be just dropping you in and you get to go suffer.
So how many issues do you have planned for Corruptor?
This one's going to be, the way I'm writing it is it's going to be 4 issues that'll take place before Immortal Era. And then when I end Immortal Era, there will be 4 issues that take place after Immortal Era.
Interesting. This is a big old time jump right there.
Yeah.
But it's, you've written it? Is it?
It's all, I haven't written the scripts, but it's all outlined.
I gotcha.
So I know exactly what's going to happen. And of course, someone was saying, well, you could just release the other ones before Immortal Era is over, but then it would completely spoil the ending of Immortal Era. And with this one, the first 4 issues will end. That first arc will end the moment Immortal Era begins. So
gotcha.
When Immortal Era starts, it's a flashback that one of our main characters is watching of a television broadcast where one of these reporters interrupts the report that's trying to say, what a wonderful thing. No one died today. They're trying to sell it as, this great thing. And he breaks into this hospital and you see people, gunshot victims, car accident victims that should be dead, would wish they were dead, and they're still living. So he breaks in and she's watching this because they're just trying to find clues, because that's the thing that that group's doing. Just any clue to see, why did people become immortal? How did this happen? So she, or that particular newscast, that's kind of how I'm going to wrap up Corruptor. So when that's starting, that's when we know Corruptor is going to be ending, because now all the portals to the afterlife will be closed for, as long as it takes. And at that time, we're going to see, where does that leave our Corruptor? What is
that was my question. I was like, ooh, does he get tossed into hell and he has to wait? Or does he kind of like roam Earth during that time in thing?
Yeah, and I won't spoil that. I'm going to do my best.
Don't spoil it.
The longer I talk, the more stuff I spoil. So
I know. I'm like, don't spoil it. There's consequences.
That's if I'm at a con and someone starts talking at the table too long, I'm like, oh shit, that's like issue 18 stuff I just gave you. So
everything.
Forget what I just said right there.
Yeah, but they will. They'll forget, and they'll be like, "Oh, yeah," when they read it, when it finally they get there, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, he told me. I forgot about this." At least that's my plan too, because I've told people, I'm like, "This is the issue where things happen," and they're like, "Oh," but I'm like, "But you'll forget before we get there." That's amazing. So when does this campaign launch? And I'm going to drop I have the link here, everybody. I'm going to drop it in the chat for you. This is just pre-launch. So again, this isn't backing. This is, you're just signing up to be notified. When Ed pushes the button and this thing goes live, you'll get an email that says Ed Davis has launched Corruptor, and then you can go check it out. So
yeah,
we were talking about it backstage, but tell everybody when you're launching it and why.
Okay, so it'll be about 2 weeks, and the reason I'm not launching it, because I had initially thought that I would have it live right now, but then I'm leaving on Friday for a cruise, and the one thing you don't want to do on a cruise is have to pay for their overpriced internet. It's like $40-something a day. It's absurdly expensive, and also you're supposed to be on vacation. You're having a good time, and then maybe you're out on the deck having, about to go swimming with the family, and you're like, oh fuck, someone just dropped a pledge. Yeah. I just lost $100 pledge. Damn it. And now you're upset, and you're supposed to be having a fun family vacation.
Yeah.
That's the family vacation where my wife pushes me over the edge of the ship and like, swim home, asshole.
She's like, if you're not going to get off your phone, she's going to throw your phone off the side.
Yeah. So I guess the phone goes off the side. She won't push me over, but
that's the optimistic.
Too many refreshes. It might be me, because I'm like, oh, I'm going to go on the cruise's computers and use those now and check. No. So yeah,
I just see Ed going, wait, and jumping over to go get his phone.
I'm sure she'll throw me one of those little life vests. So like, all right, swim. I'm not going to kill you, but you get to swim in the water for a little bit and get your head straight. Then you can get back on the boat.
Think about it. Think about what you're doing.
Yes. So that's why there won't be. It's Mexican Riviera cruise. So we did one last year that left out of New Jersey, and this year it leaves out of LA, which is close to us, so we can just drive, because the luggage shuffling is always such a pain in the ass, trying to get those perfect 50-pound bags.
Yeah.
As I just learned when I did the Nashville Comic-Con, trying to get those exact 50-pound bags of comic books. Oh my gosh, that is no joke.
Yeah, I have not ventured to faraway cons yet for that reason. I'm just like thinking about all the logistics of packing all your supplies and your banners and your books and your merch and trying to get it all evenly displaced and then ship it. And then what happens if it gets damaged on the way, or what happens if it gets lost on the way? And where are you putting it all? Is it all going? How are you, like, if I'm going by myself, how am I getting all that stuff into a car and then to a hotel? Like, it just seems like a whole lot of work. So I've just been sticking around my side of town for now, but I'm sure someday
it's tricky. But my mom lives in Nashville, so I had a home base, so there was no hotel to worry about.
Nice.
And then she has a truck, so when I unloaded, it was just throw them all in the truck. And for that one, I did Southwest, and they give you 2 check bags. So I found out that the 2 check bags, you can get those to the perfect 50, but your one that you carry on, they don't weigh. So my carry-on bag was almost 70 pounds.
Oh my God.
And of course they flagged it when it's going through the little thing, like, what the hell's in here? Why is it so heavy? I'm like, oh, it's just comic books. I'm going to the Nashville Comic Con. And they're looking at me like, oh, we don't want to say that it's okay, but there's nothing in our contract that says there's a weight limit. So I'm exploiting something. I'm sure I'm going to be the jerk who ruins it for everybody. And now they're going to start weighing it.
No, I know, that's funny though. And like, it's just gonna sit on my lap the entire time. Legs are all going numb.
Oh no, I put it in the overhead. It fit.
It fit.
I watched the poor flight attendant as she's flipping all the overhead bins up, and she's like, ugh. I'm like, oh shoot, I'm giving her a workout for the day. Yeah, and that's when I'm like, here, I got it. And you feel all guilty. Like I didn't realize it was going to be one of those drop ones, and she was going to have to friggin' lift it, and now she's ready to start weight training for leg.
She's like, God, I need to. Because she probably thought it was just a regular one. She's like, why can't I lift it?
Yeah, like what happened?
I need to work out more.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit the gym. But then the way home, it was just one of the little drop down ones where they didn't have to lift it. I was like, okay, good. I don't have to feel guilty watching someone struggle to lift my bag again.
Right. Well, that's always good news. That means that you've sold all your books.
Yeah. But actually, no, it still weighed the most, because the other bags, they were easier to get under the 50 pounds when I was going home. So that wasn't the problem. It was still all right. I was still going to max out the carry-on, because that one you don't have to sit there and play the shell game with weights. So yeah, that was, I lift it up, and you have to lift it casually. Like, okay, this thing's just nice and light. And you're just like, I can't be like, struggling. You have to make it look like it's just any regular bag, not some 70-pound bag full of books.
Oh my gosh. That's funny. So how was the con?
It was good. I mean, if you do a travel con, I mean, your only real objective is just break even. You don't want to go in and lose money. And I was able to, when it was all said and done, I made like $10. So I'm like, okay, $10 profit with flights. And I did end up having to check a third bag. So that was $125. So I got the bag, I got the flight, and I got the gas that I put into my mom's car all back, and had a teeny bit of profit. So I'm like, you know what? That's a victory right there. Yeah.
That's a win. I was talking with another creator recently, and they just went and did a big con. And I mean, sometimes you just don't know how it's going to go. And the con was slow because the weather sucked. Ooh. And, lost like $1,000. And I'm like,
ouch.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that's so scary. I don't have
those
an
ones
extra
are
$1,000.
Yeah, you can't afford to lose that, because everything is just like, all right, I need to at least break even so I can pay for whatever the next con is going to be.
Right.
And I did Phoenix last year, and the con was busy, but it was more autograph seekers. There weren't a lot of people even walking into the small press area. So they were all, you see the people kind of walking with their autographs, and they don't want to get them damaged. And the best thing I was doing was like, hey, I got a bag and board that'll fit your picture. So I sold a lot of those, but the books were harder to sell. I mean, I made my table back, but then when you add in hotels and driving to Phoenix is a lot of gas for me as well. Yeah. It's a lot harder to hit that bottom line. So that one, I think my loss was like 500. And yeah, it's hard to bounce back from that.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, I'm not ready. That's why we need a Madness RV. That would be great. We could just come pick us up.
Yeah, just an RV. Do the cross-country trip.
Yeah, man. We'll just go crash like LCSs and be like, we're here. To be like, who the F are you guys?
It's like, this is the Madness RV, and we have your books.
All of them. You want to buy these from us.
Yes.
Yes, you have all of them. All of them. We could, dude. It could be big. We just got to organize it right.
Yes.
The Madness Roadshow every summer.
I'm down for that. We just have our banners on the side. We just put them up there, and we can see. And people, we'll have like a deadhead following. They want to follow us to all the cons.
What if we put like a big old Madness wrap on the RV, and then everybody could put their stickers on the side of the RV for their comics and stuff, and it'd be like it looked like a NASCAR, a giant NASCAR with sponsors.
It also has to have a really annoying horn, like every time we pull up.
we got to have a horn like the Batman theme from 1989. Do 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 do, and just keeps that's our little horn.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes,
we're coming.
Yes, the comic, the nerd van is on its way.
Yes.
Either we're going to go to Roku or we're going to go on a road show, but we're going to do something. You know, I mean,
you better drive that RV down to Texas, is all I'm saying. We'll eat some barbecue.
Yeah, started in California. You pick me up, and then you know, we go from there, and then we'll just crash swap meets. We don't discriminate. We're gonna crash the swap meet, and now that swap meet has become a Comic-Con.
There you go.
This was my thing. My original plan was we'd go to a con, and then on Monday we'd hit the local comic shops in that city before we leave that city and go to the next one. Mm-hmm. So we'd set up signings ahead of time, right? We're going to come to your comic shop on this day and do signings. And then, you know, we would make something bigger out of it than just appearing at the con.
Yeah.
You know, more to help people sell books, people in the magazines, you know.
Yeah.
Go around, do some signings, then go to the next town and the next town. And as you're driving from Houston to Fort Worth, you stop at the little towns and the little comic stores, and you drop in and you hi and you drop some flyers and stuff on the comic store owner so he knows where to find Madness comic books. And you know, everybody that's part of the Madness could be putting their books in the RV and going from place to place. They wouldn't even have to be there.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, I don't think I could be in the RV from Texas to Michigan, but we're in Texas.
But just all over. That's what I mean. It wouldn't just be like a straight trip. It'd be like we'd hit some St. Louis and just hit the cities all the way up, like for a week.
Yeah.
And hit all the comic shops and then end up at the con you're going to, right?
Yeah.
But it wouldn't just be drive straight there. It would be work all week long going to comic stores and promoting what we do. It would be work. You know, I mean, but that's my kind of work. So just throwing it out there. It's going to be something. We're going to do something with this bigger than what we do now. You know, it's going to be bigger. So I like the roadshow idea.
That's awesome. I'm in for that.
Yeah, we could just all caravan together. That would be great.
Then you save hotel fees too.
Well, see, that was the whole thing. You get an RV, and then you get maybe if there's more people that actually fit in the RV, you got a couple of big tents. You hit a KOA for the weekend.
Yep.
You know, and everybody, we have at least one tow behind vehicle to pile people's stuff in to go to the con.
Yeah.
You know.
Travel light.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, if you have an RV, those things have a lot of storage space underneath.
Yeah.
You can put a lot of comic boxes underneath, you know, in that storage space in the RV. So, I mean, I've looked into it. Trust me and Chris both. We were looking into it a couple of years ago because that was the original plan, was the Madness Roadshow. Then YouTube started messing around and Roku became the focus, you know. But I mean, if people are more interested in doing a roadshow thing, I would go right back to that idea in a heartbeat. Because that one gets me out the house. And Lord knows I need to get out. Okay, I'm done stealing show. I'm gone. Have fun. Hey, we need more viewers. You guys share this out. Okay, for some reason, we are being really suppressed today across platforms. We only have 15 viewers. Please share this out to all your socials and let everybody know Laurie's live, because obviously YouTube ain't helping. Thank you. Bye.
There's a weird thing going on. Pops and I were talking about it, where I usually get like 20 views on a show.
Yeah.
And this was before the Madness channel got monetized. And now, like, my show will play, it'll say I have like 13 views, and then it'll go down to 10, and then it'll go down to 5. There's one of my shows where there's 12 people in the comments on YouTube, and it says that the show has 0 views. So I don't know. I've never seen stuff like that. I've never heard. Well, of course, I mean, I've never been monetized on YouTube before.
Yeah, and
So
that means they probably they don't want to actually pay you, so
they don't
they
want to pay you.
when
They
you're
stop.
not monetized, they're like, hey, we don't care. You know what? Let's
Well, it's
just
the other way. They're
open it
probably
up.
adding things so that way you want to be, you build your, you know what I mean? You're incentivized to build. And then when you're like, look at, I got 64 views, I got 125 views, I got 3,000 views. And then you get monetized and they're like, you get 0 views. And you're like,
Yeah,
what?
we'll take those views right away.
That's because then they don't have to pay you.
You made me
Yeah.
come back in. The saddest part of this is there was a show a few weeks ago, one of Laurie's shows, and Laurie's one of our most popular shows in the network. She gets 30 views every week. Okay. It's just the way it is. You know, and then all of a sudden I'm looking at Laurie's show and 3 views, 5 views. One show actually said no views.
That's what I was talking about. Where it's just like, how is it possible?
When
there's people in the
all
chat.
these people are in the chat, the same people that are here today, plus more. Okay. All these people are in the chat talking and they're saying we had no views. And I'm like, the proof is right there on the same screen. Your algorithm really sucks, YouTube. If you can't tell actual people chatting from, you know, bots or whatever, then you get your algorithm's really bad.
Yeah.
But I think that's all the platforms. Like my friend Jazar Riches. I don't know if you remember the conspiracy theory video, and she did the McDonald's bit.
Yeah, yeah.
She has big channels. Like she has hundreds of thousands of followers on TikTok, etc. And I don't know how many times she has posted like, and when I get too popular, all my views disappear. And that's on TikTok. So it's the same thing. It just doesn't matter what platform you're on. They don't want to pay you.
Yeah, they just want to suppress having to pay you.
And this is why Roku. This is why we wanted to go to Roku, so that you guys would get the ad revenue for your shows without no algorithms, no Google overlords. I'm not your dad. I don't care.
Google overlord.
You know, I'm not your dad. I just want to give you a platform to do what you do on. That's all. So, you know, like I said, the Roku is still the focus right now. And that's what I want to do. But, you know, the more they suppress what we're doing and take money out of everybody's pocket, that's the biggest reason to just go to Roku. It's the biggest reason right there. And they're doing it to everybody. If they're doing it to a little tiny channel like mine and taking away all the views from a show, can you imagine what they're doing to somebody who's got 12,000 viewers and doesn't really look at their analytics, doesn't care? They probably get them for 1,000 views every show. You know, it's like, yeah, look at your analytics, people, and then come to Roku with the map.
All right, I'm going to redirect. So, Ed, I want to know, how did you get a picture of me running in gym class?
that was the runner is supposed to be me. And I'm wearing a shirt because there was a race. It is. There was a shirt, or there was a race that I was doing. I do these relay races. When you're talking about traveling with people, it's like we do this where it's 12 runners in a van, and we decided to do an ultra that day. And it's 6 runners in the van doing 200 miles. And the other runner, and the other runner on our team, I was supposed to do 32 miles, which, you know, that's insane already.
Yes.
And one of our runners got food poisoning. So I ended up doing 48 miles for that race. And that sums up my feeling at the end, where it's just like, please kill me. I'm never going to finish this race. Good morning. And oh my gosh, and people are like, you can do it. I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah,
I'm gonna die.
That would be me from like mile 1.
So this is like mile 46 to 48. And I'm like, I'm not gonna make it. My head is spinning. I haven't eaten enough. I haven't had enough water. And you know, at that time I was thinking, okay, I'm just gonna eat healthy. I'll get like chicken and all this stuff between, because you run, it's in 3 separate legs, they call them. So instead of doing 3 legs, and if you're doing the ultra, you do 3 and you just double them up. So you're doing the equivalent of 6, but you do them and you just run past one finish line to the next. And yeah, I ended up doing 9. No, I didn't do.
God.
Yeah, I don't know. It was too damn many. And by that last one, I had just done like 2 straight uphill miles, and you still have 2 to go, even though they're flat. All these, like the happy walking girls and, all the people that are just relaxed are passing me, and I don't care. I'm like, I'm just going to get through with these stupid miles. And yeah, everybody's trying to be encouraging, and my head is literally just spinning. And I get to the finish line, and that was the only time I've actually like fallen down at the finish line.
Gosh.
So that logo came from that, and that's the shirt I was wearing that day. And the funny thing is, our team is the away team, so we're supposed to be, the ones who get killed in Star Trek. So I'm like, yeah,
the red shirt.
I was a real red shirt that day.
Oh my God. One, that is super funny. 2, I hate running. So I feel you. Like, I always tell people, if you see me running, it's because I can't kill whatever is chasing me. So you should also run.
That's
like,
funny.
It's a T-Rex chasing me. You should run.
Yeah, you will die if you don't.
Right. I'm like, I'm running because you should also run. It's bad. It's bad. Hey, good morning, Time Skills.
Morning.
How are you? Oh,
yeah,
man.
I normally like running. That day, I didn't. I mean, my first 2 legs, I was like, my pace, I was killing it. I had already covered, a full marathon's worth of miles, just broken up between 2 13s. And I was like, oh, I'm going to just crush this race. And then as we're driving back after dinner, that's when our runner, one of 3 that we had we just did it in a SUV. One of our 3 is getting food poisoning on the side of the freeway. It's like, oh, it's going to be a different day now.
Yeah. Shoot. Did you guys all just split up his miles between the other members?
We had one other team member who was able to take it, but since we were doing an ultra, everybody was already kind of maxed out in how many miles that they could potentially do. So there's me and one other woman. We're always battling to get the most miles. Like every time we do this relay race, it's like, all right, this one has a total of 22. This one has a total of 23, and she'll try to snatch the 23 before I do, or I'll try to snatch it before she does. And then she'll have the most miles, and I'll be like, oh yeah, one of the women's not comfortable doing the run at 3 a.m. I'm going to go shadow her. So now I have the most miles. So we're always battling.
Gosh.
And this time I'm like, now I have,
you want it? You can have it.
And then she's like, I had 48 that I was going to need to do, and it was actually going to be a little bit more. I was going to have to do I had already done 30. I was going to have to do a whole extra 26. So I was going to be doing a total of 56. God. And she's like, I can take your miles, but it might put me above you. I'm like, please take them. I don't care.
Yeah.
Have all the miles. So she took one of them, which brought both of us to right around 48 miles. So she's a beast. She goes out there, and like I said, we're always battling for the most miles. And yeah, that was one time I'm like, they're yours. You may have them. I don't give a shit about the most miles today. I just want to survive the miles I have.
Oh my gosh. I can't even, I was like, it's crazy to me that human beings are even capable of doing such things. You know what I mean? Because it seems just outlandish to me that someone can run 13 miles in a day. I mean, yuck.
Yeah. See, I like it. And right now
why? Tell us why you like running, Ed. I need to know.
Endorphins for,
really?
It works for me. And that's, I don't know. Some people think I'm crazy, especially when I'm out here running in the 100-degree heat. They look at me like, all right, this guy's lost his mind, but yeah, I just enjoy it. And it's good thinking time. It's when I do, I get a lot of my writing ideas when I'm running. So I have a notepad for when I finish the runs that it's the one that has all the sweat drips on it. Cause I get home, I'm like, ooh, that's a good idea. And I'm just jotting it down and just dripping all over the notepad. But yeah, for me, it kind of clears the head, and I can get a lot of good ideas when I'm out there.
Now that I understand, that I do get, because I go walk my dog and I write my comics in my head, and I'll actually talk to myself. I'll put a headphone in so people will think I'm talking on the phone and not talking to myself.
That's funny.
But I'm really talking to myself.
I need to do that one. I guess I always have headphones in, so they'll think that. But yeah, I'll hit a point like, oh my gosh, that's such a good idea. And then it's like, okay, I got to get home. I got to write this down before it drops out of my head. And yeah, some of the best, like the main story is pretty much written for Immortal Era, but some of the little side stories and side characters have all come from different runs. So it's like I'm running and it just pops up in my head. I'm like, ooh, this would be really cool if this happened. And yeah, it's that good, you know, your head's clear. I play music and the music generally just becomes white noise. Like I don't know what songs are playing. 5-6 miles into a long run, the music doesn't even exist, and I'm just flowing with all of these ideas.
That's so cool. And it's interesting to me because if I'm on the treadmill, I don't get that. But when I'm outside walking around in nature, I do.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I'm only 4 away from 100. Oh,
nice.
Thanks, everybody. Come on and subscribe. Get me to 100. That would be great. Just bragging rights. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Hurrah. Yeah. But I mean, like when I'm at home and I'm on the treadmill, I don't get that inspiration.
Okay.
Have you encountered that?
I can't do the treadmill. You can't? I try to do the treadmill because I mean, yeah, I'm out there and it's
terrible, isn't it?
It's hot as hell. And it, you know, I'll try to do the treadmill like, okay, because it's going to be better as far as the weather goes.
Right.
And yeah, I can't think when I'm on the treadmill. All I think is this is boring. When is it going to end? And yeah, I love running, but I hate treadmill running. So that's why I'm out there. No matter what the conditions are, I'm out there in them. Now, granted, in California where I'm at, the worst conditions I'm going to get are rain a couple times and a lot of heat. So
where are you exactly?
I'm in Southern California. Yeah.
Which part?
So
which
Inland Empire in Highland. So we're right on the foothills of the mountains. So it gets pretty hot. We don't get tons of rain. This has been a rainier year. So the rain was more of an issue this year, but you know, unless it's pouring, I can get out there and run. There was one time I got out there and I was running and I found that the rain, like when I was trying to cross the street, it was like knee high. So I was like, probably not the best day for running. So that was one. That was one where I just kind of cut it short, but still didn't go on the treadmill. I'm like, I'll just make up the miles tomorrow.
Yeah. You know what's funny?
Hell.
I was in California from 2006 to 2008. Okay. And the one thing, it's different when it rains there because it's so sparse. I was in Laguna Niguel, around there, Dana Point. And it's like when it rains heavy, things flood because there's nowhere for the water to go. Yeah. And when it rains light, you can't drive because it has not rained for 2 months and all that oil is sitting on the road.
Yeah, it just popped right up on the road. And that's when the idiots are still trying to do 80 and you know, they break and they just hydroplane on that because that light rain. And yeah, you just need to adjust. So yeah, it's interesting because we had mudslides the first year we moved into our house here because it rained for like a week straight and the we have this bluff right next to the house and the whole bluff just came down.
Oh my God.
And it was knee-high mud everywhere. So it was crazy because that's the most sustained rain that we've had. And it wasn't just drizzling for a week straight. It was just pouring. And after about 4 days of it, we just saw the mud begin to trickle down. And then next thing you know, it was like busting through people's houses that live right there on that bluff. So yeah, California is not built for that much rain. Most states, like when I was in Nashville's built for that. It's, you know, it's a green, lush place and it's ready for a rain. And, you know, it could rain as much as we got in that California. There was not going to be any mudslides that came from it.
Right. And that was my experience in Michigan as well. Texas, we get a lot of rain and things will flood. Yeah. Just because it's so flat, there's no runoff. It just fills up. But it rains a lot here. We've had some really bad storms this year. There's a tornado that went by like just north of us. Oh Lord. Wow. It was real close. So, and we got hail. There's been insane hail in Texas this year, as big as DVDs.
Wow.
What the F? I'm sorry.
That's crazy. That'll crack a window.
It was just destroying everything.
Wow.
We got some golf ball size hail earlier this year. I want to say March. And that was nuts. But they've been gotten some real big hell. Anyway, I think we saw some shiny thing and we went down a tangent. I want to talk about your website. So Finish Line Comics, hilarious picture. Tell us about your website. What can people get on here? Because there's a shop. Let's go to the shop. Ta-da. Cool.
So the shop, that's the main thing on the website. And then it has the sign up for the email list. It's something that's still a work in progress. I put the upcoming shows, so I need to update that. But it has the shop right there. And that has, I think it's 1 through 8. I need to update some things on the shop to get issue 9 up there, and it doesn't have Corruptor in there yet. So those are things that need to get put into the shop. And then the email list, I'm not one of those people who spam you a bunch of times. I send a monthly email that says upcoming appearances and any Kickstarters that are coming out. So that's the main thing you get on the website. And I also need to put on there.
I totally neglect my website all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I keep a web store.
They buy something, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I don't have that anymore. Like,
yeah, I ran into that. Someone bought, I think, issues 1 through 6. And I realized I was out of 4 and out of 6. So I had to drive down to a comic shop that I knew still had some 4 and 6 available so I could fulfill someone's order. So I was like, going to the comic shop, like, yeah, I need to buy a couple books back from you because I just got a web store order and I can't fulfill it. So yeah.
Whoops.
So now it's updated and it actually has the right books on there. And then I need to get Corruptor and issue 9 added. But yeah, web store sales are always so sparse. You get those 1 or 2 a year. You're like, oh wow, someone bought on the web store.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. But I love how you have digital copies on here too. Everything is here, guys. The trades are here. All the variant covers. That's cool, man. I have some of my variant covers. There's some of them that I don't reprint, but I still have them up there and just say like they're out of print. But
these are ones that there's 1 or 2 copies left of each one. So I do, for my variants, I only do 25 of each. I have the LA Comic-Con variants. Those ones I did 150, but I only do 25. And for most of them are sold out, but the ones that aren't, that most of them don't even make it through the Kickstarter since I do such small numbers. But sometimes there's 1 or 2 left, and that's what's in the variant section.
Cool.
And that one I have to be diligent on, because if one of those sells, I don't have a comic shop I can go and grab one of the variants from.
Right. Yeah, I feel you. I was like, man, I need to pay more attention to the inventory tracking. They have it there, but I just,
Yeah. And now it's updated because I bought back a couple copies when I was at the shop. I was like, okay, what do you need to keep? And they try to keep 4 copies of every issue at all times. So I said, okay, well, I'm gonna sell you down to 4 of everything so I can buy back all the ones and not have to do a reprint. Because at cons, 1 sells a lot. I sell lots of copies of issue 1. 2 through 6 don't sell much at all because I have a trade. So most people just buy the trade. You get those random few people that just want the floppies. But if I bring 5, I'll end up bringing a few home still. So I figure as long as I have 5 on hand of 2 through 6, I'm fine. The only one that I have to constantly keep reprinting is issue 1. Because if they're not quite sure, they won't buy a full trade, but they'll buy an issue 1. So issue 1 is the one that's on its 5th printing right now. So that one constantly gets reprinted.
That was my experience. I only have done 1 Comic-Con since my trade has printed, but that's what I found. It was either they got issue 1 or it was they're in on the trade.
Yeah.
Which stinks because there was a printing delay for my issue number 4. So I had ordered those in February and I didn't get them until like end of April.
Oh, yikes.
And I had already kickstarted the trade and I got the trades like second week of May. Okay. So I only had 2 weeks between when I got issue 4s and the trade. So I didn't have time to sell, you know what I mean? The individual issues to get rid of the inventory before the trade showed up. So now I have a bunch of these issue 4s where I'm like, what am I going to do with these? But I have an idea because a lot of my issue 4 variant artists are local and we're all going to be at the Fort Worth Comic-Con in October.
Okay.
So I think I will be able to move a majority of them there because like William Russell will be there, Lauren Gibson, Lacey Kruger, and they're all there. So I'm like, hey, if you follow this artist, you can buy it from me. I'll sign it for you, and they can sign it while you're here too.
Okay.
So that'll be kind of my
that works.
Get rid of, not get rid of, but to move that inventory because I spent money on it, and I could really use that capital to put into something else. Right. So it's just bad timing.
I know how that goes. And that's like right now I have pretty big amounts of 7, 8, and 9 because they're not in a trade yet. But once that trade comes out, it's like, oh, what am I going to do to get rid of those?
Right.
So now what I started to do, I did it at Nashville. I started to make bundles. Whereas, okay, you get the trade with 7, 8, and 9, and then some swag in there. And that seemed to sell pretty well. People seem to like that. So that's something I'll do so I can blow those floppies out. Because once the trade comes out, those floppies are just going to sit and collect dust. That's was my concern about the whole timing of everything that happened with Path. I was like, damn it. Like, well, at least, I don't have to reorder these ever. Yeah, true. You'll be looking like, okay, who can I give these away to?
Right.
That's when if you're doing a raffle or something, like, all right, you want an issue
Free
4.
copy.
Yeah. It's like, just take it, please.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm hoping in Cowtown that people will get them. And Cowtown is one that I go to every year. And most of those artists are local. So I should be able to, at least for the next well, we'll see. It depends on how busy they are. I don't print more than, usually I get some ones for the Kickstarter and then additional 25 to sell. Because I usually do sell some physical. So, but after that, I just
huge amounts then. Because I usually do 250 for every single issue. So it's when it gets to the trade, because I printed 250 of issue 6 and then immediately did the trade, and I'm like, oh yeah, those 6s are going to sit here for a long time. I didn't realize I should have done a tiny print count for 6, knowing that the trade was going to be coming out on the next campaign.
I think I need to do that too, because I think most of my because my trade was 1 through 4. Most of my, I have 1 variant left of number 2. 1, I think I have 6 left, and then issue number 3, I think I have 3 variants, but only a handful left. So once those are gone, I probably won't reprint those. But issue 4, I got a ton. So I think I'll do that for next time too, where it's like I'll just order to fulfill the Kickstarter and maybe 2 extra. Like I get 1 for myself, right? Yeah. But then other than that, just maybe a couple when we get to like issue 8.
I think
5,
that's
6,
the
7,
smart
8,
thing.
9. 5, 6, 7, 8. Just kidding. And that way we'll do a trade for 5 through 8, and then and we'll be on to the next set. Interesting.
Yeah. I'll most likely do the same thing, the 250 until issue 12, and then 12 knowing that one's going to go into the trade.
Yeah.
That one I'll do the same thing you did, like 10 above what the Kickstarter gets, just enough.
Right.
Because I always send one in. I have someone who always wants a graded copy of the book. Right. So I got to make sure I have a good one for him. And then I have 1 graded copy of every single thing I've done, every variant. And those ones I keep for my own personal collection. So I'd want that as well. But above that, not much else.
Hey, do you have a YouTube channel?
I do.
Oh, that's right. You do your reviews. I'm such a dingus. Sorry, everybody. Ed's YouTube channel is here.
So yeah,
my brain temporarily left my body. Sorry.
I forgot to put that in earlier, and that's where I just got it built. I mean, I've had it up, but did nothing with it for the longest time besides throw my Kickstarter videos on there and get no views essentially. But I'm starting to do these little 1-minute book reviews where people send me their book and I do a quick 1 minute, and my kids do the video editing for me because I'm not very good at it. So they put the videos together for me and I just do the audio. And I found that a minute is a challenge because you have to just cut and cut and cut and cut. And I go in there and when I'm doing, thank you.
Yeah.
I go in there and I do the audio editing, and I'm removing every single breath that I took to make it fit. Because YouTube, for the shorts, you get 59 seconds. You don't even get a full minute.
Right.
And it's just like, okay, I'm going in, I'm editing, and it's like, okay, I'm going to have to remove every single breath because I talk really fast to fit it all in there. And then it's just cut all the breaths. I'm like, okay, I removed every breath that I took during that 1 minute of talking. And now I still have 5 seconds to trim. So you look, okay, what's something else that I can take out that's not essential to what I just said? So yeah, it's more of a challenge than I thought to get a perfect review in 1 minute.
Dude, video editing just in general, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because for my short films, I try to keep them concise. And like the one I just finished, number 4, I was trying to get it to be 10 minutes. I couldn't do it. It's 12 because I have the video. Of course, there's the title screen and then the intro and then the video and then the credits. And I was just like, I sped up the credits, and it's just like, it's just so much to try and cut. And I cut out some really funny stuff, and I cut out some, you know, poignant moments, but it's just like, you have to get down to like the bare bones of what makes the video what it is. And it's hard to do. It's hard.
It is. It's a challenge. And yeah, just because, I mean, you've read the book, and for me, I end up reading every book viewing 3 or 4 times before I'm even ready to write the review, and then usually 1 or 2 more times before, when I'm actually actively writing the review. And the first time it's more just like, I'm going to write down all the names of the characters. Right. And then the second time, like, what is each character doing? And yeah, I had one review that I did, and the guy's like, oh, well, no, you need to call the character this instead of what he calls them in the book. So I'm thinking, yeah, they have their official names, but people need to realize that I'm a reader. I'm just like any other reader, and I'm going to know what the book shows you. So yeah, that's the challenging thing when people want something's changed, and it's like, oh, you know what? I'm on a tight schedule. I'm trying to get it out before your campaign closes. So we don't have wiggle room to get your stuff exactly how you want it. So now I realize, nope, I'm not sending the audio to the creators. They're just going to get it. And because
and I mean, is it really a review if the creator is giving you input on what to say?
Yeah. And that's what I realized. He's saying, oh, well, only this character says this and only that character says that. But I'm like, I read the book. That's what I got from it. And I read that thing 6 times. So, you know, I've read it deeper than any of your regular readers are going to read it. And what I'm getting is what they're going to get.
Right. That's interesting, because Ed's going to do a review for me for Path of the Pale Rider. And then DM Ray is going to do one as well. So those will both be coming out soon. But Ray was like, is there anything you want me to say? And I was like, I'm not saying nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not swaying you. I want it to be an honest review. I want people to get the experience and to feel what you felt when you read it for the first time. I'm like, that's the whole point. But, you know, I could pay you for a commercial. That's different.
Yeah. And the main thing that I check now is, am I pronouncing the names right? Because I don't want to butcher somebody's name or a character's name at that. Right. So that's why I usually will send the audio to them so they can hear it. But now what they need to know is, when I'm sending you the audio, it's not for revision unless I completely butchered your name or your character's name. And at that point, I'll do a re-record of that name and nothing else.
Right.
So that's what I've learned is like, okay, you'll get the audio just to make sure, okay, did I pronounce everything right? Because I can go through and just remove a teeny snippet and get it in there. But yeah, it's more of a challenge. And what I found is it ends up being a lot more summary and just a teensy bit of review. So, and it's more like, okay, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed that. I'm looking forward to, because whenever I do it, I'll review issue 1 because, this is the good starting point. And some people are at issue 6, 7, 8, and, the readers will have to fill in the blanks, but I'm going to write it from the perspective of, I don't know what's going to happen, even if I do.
Interesting. Because that's, I was like, maybe I should do those too. I'm always interested in, but I also don't want to hurt people's feelings. Is that hard to do when you're like, this one's crap? I mean, what if you get something and it's just no good? Do you just not do a review? Like, how do you handle that?
I've been fortunate that every book that I've done, I've had positive things to say. Now there's definitely constructive criticism I could give, but in a minute, you don't have time for that constructive criticism.
That's true.
It's like, I'm going to focus on what's good because there's too many channels that want to tear people down. So I'm not here for that. I'm going to focus on what I enjoyed, what I think was good. Let people also find what they enjoy and what's good. Because I don't need to be that snarky guy like, all right, let's talk shit about something, because there's just too much of that in the world. And I'm here to just bring positivity because, I see indie comics in a much different way than I used to see them before I created them. Like, you can see a book and think, all right, that artwork, I don't love that artwork. I don't love something about it. But now that you know all that it takes to get onto the table, it's a newfound respect. And I'm like, I'm going to give all of them love because this is a grueling process to make it happen. So anyone who did it, I'm just giving them the props. Even if I think there's things that can change, I'm going to dig for the nugget of gold that I think is in that book and focus on that for my reviews.
That's commendable and I agree with you. It's such a journey. And it is just to have something published and to be out there is a win. Mm-hmm. It's a win because you did all the things, and it's, what is the percentage? It's something like 90% of people that have a story never publish.
Yeah.
So just to get something created and get it out there and into the world is a win.
Yeah. And that's how I look at it. So when I do the reviews, I mean, I'll say this. The ones that I've done so far, I've enjoyed, but I know I'm going to reach one that I don't. And that's going to be the hard thing, is like, I'm going to have to find that nugget in there that I find good that I can talk about. But the beauty is, in a minute, you don't really have a lot of time to even talk trash about a book.
No, that's true. It's like, here's the book. This is what I think. The end.
Yeah, it's like, okay, here's the summary. Here's the creator. And, here's my quick thoughts. And my thoughts always end up being the last maybe 10 to 15 seconds. And I focus on the good. Every book that I've read, I've enjoyed on some levels. I mean, I would say for what I've done so far, I enjoyed. One of them I only got a preview copy of, and that was harder to do a review on because I didn't know where it was going to go. And that one was easier to get under a minute, but harder to give a review because you're not reviewing the full book. So I don't know. The questions I have are probably answered. So that was my most difficult review, was having one that wasn't a complete book that I was reviewing. So now that's something I won't do preview copies.
Gotcha.
I have to kind of say that, all right, if you're going to send me a preview copy, when the real one's ready, send me that and I'll do your review.
Yeah. I guess that's the nice way of putting it, because how do you review something when it's like you read the first 3 pages?
Yeah, and this one was a longer preview copy, but even so, it was the hardest one that I wrote because it's
there's no resolution.
Yeah, so I can say I enjoyed what I read. I'm looking forward to reading the rest, and that's kind of what my review says. Is okay, I'm looking forward to the full issue, and that's about all I can say.
Interesting. So how would someone get a hold of you to have a review done? Because I'm sure people are wondering.
Yeah, if people want reviews, you can go send me a message on Instagram. I would say on TikTok, but their messages are weird. And it says every day I have like 80 messages, and most of them are just some dumb like smiley face. So I don't check those. But Instagram messages I check. You can message me on Facebook as well through my regular account. If you're friends with me, or if you're not, even send them. I'll just see them as a message request, or through my Finish Line Comics on Facebook. That I get personal messages on that too. And if you send me a message, you just need to send me a digital PDF of the book. And with that PDF, I can put your review out. My objective is to try to focus on ones that have active campaigns, because I'm trying to give them a boost. So if you have a book that's not live on Kickstarter, it's not that I won't do it. It just goes lower on the priority list.
Right. It's
So
triage.
the priority list is let me help the people that are active right now and they need a good boost. And maybe what I do will give them a little boost. And then once I'm done and I have some spare time, then that's where I go in and focus on the books that aren't. So I know Dan Schmidt is my letterer. He did his sequel to Worms Crawl In, The Worms Crawl Out.
Ooh, yes.
And that's one I'm going to do a review for, but it's not something that's once we get the new, because him and I are both in the new Cthulhu anthology that's going to be coming out. And when that's live, I can use that and put the link to the Cthulhu campaign. And that way we're kind of promoting something that's live. So his is one that I want to do, which is, it's a challenge because it's more graphic novel size. And I'm like, how the hell am I going to do that in 1 minute? It's like, I'll figure it out, but that one's a challenge. Because I wrote a little draft for it and it was 3 pages. I'm like, ooh, nope. That's
3 pages. You're like, for
time
a
to
minute?
trim. Yeah. And that
You
that
ever
won't
like
work.
speed up the audio?
I don't know. I'm beside like I don't know if you remember that the Micro Machine Man from the 80s who talked like super fast. I got to learn to talk like the Micro Machine Man if I want to do his book.
Do that. I think you can do it in post. For the video editing, if it's just slightly over, you can speed it up and it'll speed up the audio too, which will be funny. You'd be like, all right, here we go.
The Chipmunk Review.
It's a 2-minute review in 1 minute. In 60 seconds.
Turbo speed.
59 seconds. Funny. I was thinking about doing that too. I was talking about my next short film and I wanted to do a commercial. I'm going to do like a mock vaccine commercial for my world. And you know, at the end where they're like, may cause, and it lists all the side effects.
Yeah.
I can like speed up the audio as it goes through the side effects.
That'd be funny. Yeah. all the things that'll kill you in that.
Oh man. Your story and my story are very similar if you think about it. We're just slightly different. Where it's like in your world, they can't die. They're alive in their body, even though they want to be dead.
Yeah.
But in my world, their body is dead and they're rotting, but they're still in it. So it's like it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And when you talk about your story, I'm like, oh. I'm like, I could totally see that happening in my world. Heck yeah. So funny. So what else do you have planned? You have more cons planned for the summer and fall. You already talked about your Kickstarter coming, but you talked about the Cthulhu anthology. Like, what else are you doing? So many good things.
The upcoming stuff, I'm going to be, after my cruise, I'm doing the Paris Comic-Con, which not Paris, France. We're talking Paris, California. So the more like dirt-filled, not exciting city. Not, I'm not going to go hang at the Eiffel Tower. So I'm going to be doing the Paris Comic-Con, which it's a very fun con. This will be my 3rd year doing it. And yeah, that one, I'm a teacher, so I don't know if I mentioned that. And that's the first con that one of my former students actually found me and bought my book. So
that's funny.
I try to make it where like, because I teach 5th grade and my book's not really 5th grade appropriate. So like, where can I get your book? I'm like, you can't. So I just try to make it really hard to get it. And then this kid, he was a student. He's in high school now. So I'm like, all right, if he wants it, he can come and get it. And he was the first one of my former students who actually found me. So
funny.
It's like when he's like, hey, Mr. Davis, I was like, oh, damn, it was bound to happen. But here we go.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm sure because they all know. And in 5th grade, like writing comics is the coolest thing. Right. Yeah. So they're all like, I want to do what you do. And I don't know how many times because I have 2 kids. And my daughter is 10. She's going into 5th grade, right?
Okay.
And so she's at that age where she's like, Mom, I would love for you to come and do like parent job day, whatever at school. And I was like, I can't because what do you want me to do? Bring in my comic and show it to people with all like their eyeballs hanging out?
Yeah, the one that doesn't work. And I have done it at the school. They do career day. So I've done the career day, but what I do is I brought in my graded ones to put on the table.
So
I put like 3 graded ones with the safer covers.
Yeah.
And at that point they could look, they could see, but even if they touched it, they can't open the book and flip through it. So
Right.
that was my
like,
solution, was the graded stuff.
Because that's the last thing I want, where they're like, oh, I saw someone's guts hanging out today.
Yeah.
Be like, excuse me, what?
Yeah, and I didn't even bring in Corruptor. So they're like, yeah, he showed us a cool book with Satan on the cover.
Yeah. You're like, welcome to class.
Yeah, so I'm like, yes, let's not bring in the one with the devil on the cover.
We're
and we'll
learning
just bring in
demonology today,
Immortal
kids.
Era. Yeah, let's learn about different kinds of demons.
Oh, what makes their horns grow?
Yeah. How do you get more horns as a demon? So yeah, that was something. I didn't bring that book. I just brought like a couple graded copies of Immortal Era so they could see that, and more talked about the process of creating a book, kind of in the abstract of it, and made a little PowerPoint, ran through it, and yeah, it was something they loved. And now they're all like, oh, they're coming up to me as they're at recess, like, guess what? I'm going to make a comic book too. Can you read my comic book? And yeah, it's so cool when you're see
like, I'm going to do a review of it.
Yeah, you get a book break review.
That's funny. Oh, but that says something, that your kids are, growing up, moving into high school, and then they still come back and they find you to get this book. It must still be in their mind. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I'm old enough, I can read.
I'm going to go get it. Yeah, because he drove himself to it and got the book. So that was, my first time of running into one in the wild, because normally a kid comes to my table. I'm like, okay, if you bring your parents back and they say it's okay, you can buy the book. Yeah. And half the parents don't care. Some are like, okay, well, thank you for warning me. And, that's what they do.
Yeah, Matthew, go ahead and drop it in there, and I'll put it up on the screen so everybody can see it. Absolutely.
And I'll make sure I follow Matthew. If you can follow mine, I'll appreciate it.
There you go.
And then, I have the
Paris.
And then after Paris, I had a couple really bad encounters with comic shops. So I stopped even trying to get my book into comic shops, because Can we
talk about it? What happened?
Sure. Okay. So there were two comic shops. The first one I went to, I had just only had issue 1 out, and I went to this comic shop, and the guy said, okay, well, we're going to do a signing with you, and, just go ahead, create a flyer. So I paid my artist to create a flyer for me for the thing. And then the comic owner just literally ghosted me. I emailed him. I called the comic shop like, hey, I'm ready to talk about the signing. We agreed on a date. I sent you the flyer. Can I talk to the owner of the shop? And they're like, oh, first I'd like, hey, is the owner in? And they're like, yeah, he's in. Who's calling? And then I'd say, who's calling? Oh, sorry, he's not available. So fully ghosted me. But in the end, I think I kind of made out, because his whole deal was, if you do a signing, you give us 50% of 50? And I've learned after now dealing with good comic shops that 50% is complete robbery.
It is.
No comic shop asks you for 50%. No one even charges you a fee. They're just like, hey, we're going to help you out. No, they wanted 50%, and for me to give them 10 copies when it was over for them to sell.
Ew.
Yeah, so it's one of those ones where he ghosted me, and I kind of won, because I would have went there. Even if I made a lot of sales, I would have been giving away 50% of it, and that's a loss in the end. Yeah, plus 10 books.
No, that's crazy.
So that was the first one. And then the second one, they did it with where it's consignment, where, okay, you give us the books and pay you. So I gave them 10 copies of the book. I know for certain that they sold 6, because I know the 6 people who bought them, because every one of them tagged it on my social media. And I kept going in like, hey, I know 6 people bought the book. Oh, we don't show that it has any sales. I'm like, look, here's the picture. Oh, well, email this person and email that person. And it's not like I was going to make that much money, but they just never paid me. And then I was like, well, can I get my other books back then? The ones that didn't sell. Oh, well, they're at the Claremont shop. Well, my daughter has a chef academy in Claremont. I take her there every week. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll go to the Claremont shop and get them. I go to the Claremont shop. They're like, oh, it's in the Redlands shop.
Come
shoot,
on.
I'm probably giving away the shop now with this, but oh well. I'm not naming them. All right.
I doubt they're watching the show.
They're yo-yoing me back and forth to the shops. And finally, I talked to one of the employees who's actually a really good. He goes, I'm going to look and see if I can find your books. Turns out they had them in the attic of one of the shops where like the books that they send to die. And if you put my book on consignment, you can't put it in the book death zone. Because no one can buy it. I mean, they weren't going to pay me anyway. They never did. And after that particular encounter, I just got so soured by it. But now I call a comic shop a day. And one of the comic shops I called is called The Comic Bug. And they actually have 2 locations. One's in Culver City and one's at Manhattan Beach. And I'm going to do a double signing on July 3rd. Nice. So July 3rd from 12 to 3, I'll be at the Culver City location. And then from 4 to 7, I'll be at Manhattan Beach. So yeah, they were good enough to give me a double signing, which is pretty awesome. So that's the 2 things I have coming up. And then let me think what else. I will be at San Diego Comic-Con. I don't have a table there, because San Diego's my one con to go and just have fun at. And I've tabled there. It was incredible. I mean, I've never sold like I did, but if every con is work, then you never actually get to just enjoy it on the level. But when I do go to San Diego, I did get approved to be on a panel. So even though I'm going as an attendee, I will be on a indie comic writing panel that's going to be Friday at 3:00. Once I know it's Friday. I know it's 3:00. I don't know the exact room number, but once I know, I'll put that on all my socials. So if you follow Finish Line Comics on Instagram, Facebook, X, or TikTok, I'll put that info there. And then on Instagram, I'm going to have my wife live streaming it. So she'll have my phone and she'll live stream the whole panel. So that is going to be something. I might even be able to live stream it on YouTube. And then while I'm there, I'm going to go into the small press area, and I'm going to do for my YouTube channel, I'm going to do the book break segment, but I'm going to hunt for the top 5 indie comics sold at LA Comic Con or at San Diego Comic Con.
San Diego. Yeah. That's cool. I was supposed to be on a panel in San Diego Comic Con this year too, but I have to replace my roof.
Oh, damn. That makes it a lot harder to get to San Diego.
Yeah, but it was about martial arts and comics. Specifically Filipino martial arts. So there will be a panel with a bunch of really cool kick-ass martial artists. They're going to talk about, I think it's called Camera Angles with a K, like Mortal Kombat.
Okay, yeah.
And so we're talking about Filipino martial arts in media. So comic books and movies and TV shows and stuff.
Yeah.
Which was
that
really
sounds cool.
I'm sorry that I can't go.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Hopefully next year you won't have to replace a roof.
I know. Every year I build a little bit more. This is only really my 2nd year doing this. So I'm not quite that big yet, but someday. But I just wanted to show Matthew dropped his link here for the Night Slayers. He says it's about 2 paranormal investigators who must find a child who disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Sort of a loose retelling of Rumpelstiltskin. Interesting. Meets X-Files. That's a good combo. You know, that's always the best when someone gives you like 2 properties and they're like so completely different. Your brain's like, how would that work?
Yeah.
I love it. What are the ones that you would say for like a Mortal Era if you like? I'm just curious.
For
Path, I'm always like it's spaghetti westerns, Fallout, Walking Dead, and Cocaine Bear.
Okay, so let me see. I would say it's I guess Mad Max meets Lord of the Rings with Stephen King sensibilities. So
oh my gosh. I love it. That's so cool.
So it's kind of like you get that same kind of like that desperate world where everybody's trying to get any kind of supplies, especially half the world's living up above ground on surface cities. Well, not even half. Those are the legal citizens. And the rest lived in these just underground abandoned subways where there's roaming cannibals and there's gangs that are trying to steal their goods. So that's that kind of that Mad Max feeling. But then we have our main characters and they're on a quest to try to find the relics that will bring death back into the world. So that's kind of our Lord of the Rings. And then just, you know, twisted, morbid characters, you know, kind of like Stephen King when he writes his villains. We have our witches, we have the gang leader who we were introduced to at the very end of the first story arc, and all of these, you know, evil characters throughout they want immortality to stick because they're the ones who are lucky enough to find a way to stop aging. So most of the world, they still age, they still can, you know, you can suffer from a disease for eternity, but this group of people, they actually found a way to stop death, stop aging, and become super powerful. So they're doing anything they can. So you also have the battle of these people just want death back in the world because they're seeing the people suffering. Yeah. And then the other ones are like, no, forget that. We have it all good right here.
Jerks.
Yep.
You have your own, like the 1%. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's that 1%. But I tell people issue 12, we're going to blow up the world and things are going to go from bad to worse for everybody. So
yes,
issue 12 is kind of that big moment where we see some of our heroes are really in a bad place now. And even those, you know, those 1%ers who are the legal chip babies of the surface, their lives are about to get very messy as well. So yeah, issues 13 and beyond, things go completely haywire. So I'm looking forward to it. I just finished writing the script of issue 12, and then we're actually going to do, I know a lot of people on their campaigns do the, you know, give the people a chance to be in the book. So I'm going to do a write-in, like a draw-in tier where you can be drawn as a cannibal or you can be drawn as someone getting eaten by a cannibal. So you get your choice.
Makes me laugh.
So my draw-in tiers are messy. I tried to do a draw-in tier where you could be a severed head on a spike, and no one wanted to be a severed head on a spike.
Damn it. If I had just disposable money where I could do, you know, back as many things as I wanted to, I would have been a head on a spike. I think that's hilarious.
Yeah. It's like, all right, and if you read my book, it works. And yeah, it's like the heads aren't dead, so they're just kind of like, so they have their brains are dead because they get stuck on the spike. So the brain's not really functioning. So they just kind of make they're kind of like zombies because they have brains, but they're not threatening like zombies. Because if you took them off the spike, they would just sit there still going and not doing anything. But no one wanted to be a head on a spike. We'll see who wants to be a cannibal now.
Oh my gosh. I only laugh because we don't tell people where we're drawing them in. We're just like, we'll probably squish you, which is what we usually do. We're like, you're in it, and then you're not.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell them, like, here's what you get. You can choose one of the two. Do you want to be the eater or the eaten? So
you're going to find that people want to be eaten, which is weird.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. Because I think the problem I did last time was I made it an add-on. This time I'm going to make it a full tier. Yeah. And I'm actually going to have the artist do it on traditional. So if you buy that tier, you'll get in the book and you'll also get the original art page.
Oh my gosh.
So it'll be the last
put it on their
pages
wall
of the book. Yeah. So it'll be the last 2 pages of the book. So one of the pages will be for whoever picks to be the cannibal. And that person will get that original art page as well as being in the book and everything else. And then the second one would be once the cannibal's eating someone, you're the person who's getting eaten and you'll get that original art page as well. So kind of make it so you get a lot of bang for being in that tier.
That's awesome. And I know someone's going to want that 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I was like, I don't think we've done a drawing tier recently.
Yeah, I only did the one and it didn't sell, but now I'm looking and I see a lot of people that are selling those draw-in tiers. So I figure that'll be something that's fun, even though you're going to, when you back it, it's for issue 10. It's going to be, by that point, issue 12 will mostly be done, but I'm telling the artist, just wait on the last 2 pages.
Right.
Because
Where they
those
just
2
can leave
pages,
those figures empty.
yeah, or even, I guess draw. Well, I guess we don't know who's going to ask to be drawn in. So
right.
we'll just say, okay, draw
Mostly
pages 1 through 26, 27, and 28. Leave those for when we have the drawing tier finished.
Right. Interesting. I've seen people do that. They post it with like the main character, and then it's like your face here.
Yeah. So
Just
this
a random,
like you want to be a cannibal, and then you can see I'll kind of have it with the other group of cannibals that we saw in issue 3, and like, okay, you'll be with this. So they dress kind of whatever they have. Half of them are just running around in nothing but tighty whities, or they get ripped up clothes. Whatever they get from the person they ate is what they get to walk around in. And then to be eaten, you'll get to be wearing the futuristic clothes and watch yourself be consumed.
Gross, but funny.
Yeah, that's what I go for.
I was like, you know what, Ed? Us people that look normal, we're the ones with the most warped stories, I think.
I think so. The ones that you wouldn't expect it to come from.
Yes. We were like, la, 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 la. I write people getting eaten. Do you want to be eaten?
Do you want to be eaten, or do you want to be a spike head? You get your choice.
We could totally do it. And they're like, you're great at barbecues. Do you get the look at the neighborhood get together? I do.
Sometimes. I mean, because we did a teacher gathering at someone's house, and they're like, oh, you should read your book. And I finished reading the book, and it's kind of like ooh, okay. Yeah. We're rethinking about how we think about you now.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what the look is, where they're like, oh he's a real weirdo.
Yeah.
And,
but I think the people at my work knew that already. So it's like there's no great surprise at that one.
Well, at least they knew. My neighbors have no idea, because I'm like, la la la. Everybody's talking about raising their kids and PTO. And I'm like, I wrote this story where, death is broke and you can rot in your body. And they're just like, what? Yeah, do you want a copy? They're like, no.
Yeah. I wrote a story about a demon corrupting souls.
Mm-hmm. Sounds great. Teach you how.
That's funny.
Oh my goodness. What's the Cthulhu?
The Cthulhu anthology.
Cthulhu. Excuse me.
That is Travis Gibb does the different Cthulhu anthologies, and the one that I'm going to be working on for sure. The art's already done, and it's already going to be published in a preview one. It's Cthulhu Invades Grim Fairy Tales. So the story I picked was The Fisherman and His Wife.
Okay.
And the regular story, the fisherman makes a wish, or the fisherman finds a magic fish, throws the fish back in, and the wife's like, what the hell? Why didn't you get that fish to give us stuff? You're a terrible husband, and you need to go back and tell that fish that I want things. So the fisherman goes back, asks the fish for the different wishes. And every time he makes a wish, the wife begins to churn more and more into one of the deep ones.
Into the what?
The deep ones are these fish monsters that Lovecraft created. Oh. So she starts to become more and more corrupted every time that he makes a wish, until things go really crazy. So that was fun, because you only have this to work with, so you got to make them all count.
How many pages?
8. And the original story is only like 3 pages. So that's the good thing, is I followed the sequence of the story exactly, with how many wishes the wife gets. And in the story, she just wants more and more. So she's like, I want a new house. And she gets a new house, and, she's now, oh, this house is too big. It's making me sweat having to clean it. I want some servants. And then it's like, oh, well, these servants aren't good enough. I want to be queen. And then finally she wishes to be God in the end. And at that point she went too far, and they end up back in their little shack. Mine doesn't end so sweet and nice. So with Cthulhu stories,
like, she turns into an elder god. That's not Eldritch. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So things go worse for her, but
it's tentacles.
it was fun doing that one because you're doing someone else's work, and it's playing with someone else's toys. So like I'm sitting in your sandbox, I get to play with your toys and tell a story that I've read all the Grimm's fairy tales. I've been deep diving into Lovecraft because I honestly hadn't read a lot of Lovecraft before I got picked for this. And my editor for this story, he's deep into Lovecraft. So he's like, all right, here's the stories you need to read, and then, figure something like that. So I'm going to be pitching a few ideas for the second volume. It's going to be a 3-volume one for the fairy tales. So I'm going to be pitching a few stories for that, and hopefully one of those gets picked up. And so let's see. Then as far as other works go, I have two projects that I'm working on. One of them is going to be kind of semi-autobiographical, but completely twisted and messed up, because last year I started to develop these eye floaters, and it went from just a few. And the first time I saw them, I thought it was gnats, because it looked like little gnats. And I was at a Comic-Con, and I'm like, I'm sitting there swatting at nothing. I go to the table next to me. I'm like, what the hell's up with all these gnats? The guy looks at me like I've lost my mind. And it turns out it was eye floaters, but the amount that I had, it wasn't anything alarming. Then like maybe 2 weeks later, I went outside for my run, and it was just everywhere, where like 40% of my visual field was covered in these eye floaters.
Black spots. That's terrible.
So then I went to the emergency room, 17 hours of emergency rooms and multiple surgeries later. I'm down to like, there's one little floater that still persists. But
how do they take care of that?
They actually had to cut into the eye. So pull out, there was black spots in the eye, and then the retinal fluid was leaving, so the eye was collapsing on itself. So they had to put more retinal fluid in, so the eye was no longer cone shape, but back to its proper round shape. So all of this leads to when I was in the emergency room for this, I think the third time. I've been there like 5 hours at this point, and I'm sitting in the back room, and the nurse is like, can I bring you anything? I'm like, yeah, bring me a pad of paper and a pen. And she just brings me a stack of papers, and I start writing this story about eye floaters and how they're actually parasites that corrupt people's minds and make them into serial killers. And that'll be my story about floaters.
Interesting. I was wondering how you were going to tie it in. I was like, does it make people go crazy?
Yeah.
Are you seeing things that really are there and that nobody else can see because your eye normally filters them out? I'm sure there's a ton of things that you
come up with. There's different kinds of floaters. So some of the floaters, if you get the little gnat ones, they just corrupt your mind and make you more and more evil, and they're activated by pain. Because some of the stuff I had to deal with in that waiting room, and not the waiting room, but when I actually did it, they're doing this thing where they're like wedging a Q-tip in my eye repeatedly, and just fucked up stuff. So I was like, okay, we're going to just say that the doctors are doing that on purpose because pain activates the floaters to take over people's minds. So
and the doctors are in on it?
Yeah.
No.
So the doctors have different type of floaters, and their floaters make them try to activate the killers. So
interesting.
Yeah, that's one I'm working on. That one the script is almost finished for that one. And it's going to be, that's what it is. Vitreous fluid detachment.
Lou says she can sympathize with eye issues. Sorry, you had to experience that.
Yeah. Well, it's going to make a crazy fun book when it's all said and done. So I'll look at the positives.
I was going to say, a lot of great writers, they take the trauma that they have gone through and they put it in the story. And I have that same, like in my story, where I'm like, hey man, my trauma, you get to experience my trauma too. Sorry. If I have to go through it, so do you. Yeah.
Cause so much of what's in there really occurred. So that, I mean, besides the whole corrupting of the mind and things like that, but these are all things like a lot of like the guy in the book is of course getting the Q-tip treatment. And you see the doctor kind of smirking when it's all said and done because he knows that he's activating those floaters to keep continuing the twisting of his mind. So yeah, it has a lot of pieces are autobiographical, and then it just gets completely wild by the end. So yeah, that one, what does that say? Oh, White Flashes. Yeah, White Flashes are, those are ones that I was warned about. So definitely hit an eye doctor, let them know. Because I was lucky enough that I handled it quickly, because they said if you waited too long, you could have ended up with retinal detachment, and then it gets really bad. Then you have to actually you still have to get a surgery, but you have to lay flat for like, I think it's like 2 weeks where you can't get up. Yeah, you can get up for the restroom and things like that, but in most of the time you have to lay face down. They give you kind of like
face down.
They give you one of those tables like the like a massage table or something.
Yeah, with the hole in it for your face.
Mm-hmm. And you have to just stay in that. So that if you wait too long with she gave the real technical term, and I should know it, and I'm sure I wrote it in my book. There it is. Yeah. With that, if you wait too long in the retina, you have the retinal detachment, then it gets really bad. And yeah, you have to wait. You have to go face down. I don't know if it's 3 weeks, but it's a long damn time. 3 days would be too long if you ask me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
agrees.
hard.
Face down.
Yep. And that was, for me, I couldn't even look at a computer screen for, I would say, about a month after the surgery. It was just, I would get splitting headaches. So I did a lot of writing, but it was all just by hand.
Yeah.
So eventually I had to take all that writing and type it and get it into script. But yeah, that story got started when I was at that emergency room, and just like, I'm sitting here, it's been 5 hours already.
5 hours.
No sign of it ending. That by the time I was done, it was 17 hours that day that I was there. And there's some of the craziest stuff happened. I'm just sitting in the waiting room, the inside waiting room, not the outside. And this dude goes streaking past me naked, like, I'm checking myself out. And the doctors are like, you can't, sir. You can't check yourself out. And he's like, I can. And he's like, don't you want your clothes? I don't care about my clothes. I'm leaving. And he's bolting out. I'm like, that's getting in the story for sure.
Oh, 100%. Some of that stuff you can't make up, man. When you see it in real life, you're like, that's going in the story.
And then I'm walking out of the doctor's office, and this woman starts yelling at me, this homeless woman, you're a lie. You're a lie. I'm like, she's going in the story as well.
Yeah, especially if you're writing about your brain, like you're going crazy, that it's making you into some kind of like delusional sociopath, psychopath, whatever.
So
amazing.
So yeah, she made it into the story, and I'm like, yeah, she was real. The naked streaking dude was real.
Shoot.
Oh, damn.
You better get checked out there, Grey Wolf.
Yeah, be safe. Because that was rough. It was about
Sorry.
Oh man, that was the funniest thing. Just like, damn, this story is writing itself. I'm not even having to work.
Right? You're like,
the doctor's torturing me with Q-tips. Like he walks in, he goes, all right, I'm just gonna forewarn you, this is gonna hurt a lot. I'm like, oh, good. When the doctor says that, you're fucked. Yeah, it's over.
Yeah. Like, okay. He's like, I'm gonna stick this Q-tip into your eyeball.
Yeah, and I'm going to do it for about 10 minutes.
Oh.
And yeah, it was
Eyes
bad.
are the worst. I don't know about you, but when they do like, when you watch a movie and they're doing squeamish stuff, when it's eye related, I'm always like, ugh.
Yep.
You know?
Any Lucio Fulci stuff. It's like, oh, he loves to mess with you in the eyeballs. And now when it started happening to me, and for the surgery, the main one where they had to do the cutting into, they put you in the twilight state, but they don't put you asleep. So you see that freaking razor come into your eye. I'm like, holy shit, I am in a Lucio Fulci movie.
Oh, no.
But then it's so blurry and weird. And it was crazy. And like I said, it all gets the writes itself.
I'm gonna have to clip that part because that's like that makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, but it's like you're in such a weird state. You're like oddly serene. You're like, cool, it's a
Yeah.
razor. That's pretty cool. I like
Ew.
razors. You're not even freaked out about it because they put you in the weirdest state. And yeah, and my thing is, we talked about me being a runner. It makes my resting heart rate is insanely low. It rests at about like 45.
Wow.
If your heart rate goes under 50, it starts setting off the emergency monitors.
Oh,
so
no.
I had to warn the doctors beforehand, like, by the way, I'm a runner. I have a very low resting heart rate. My resting heart rate's about 47. If you put me in that peaceful, serene mode, it's going to freak your machine out.
Your machine's going to alarm the entire time.
So, yeah, and all of a sudden, like, as soon as they get me in that state, I hear the beep, beep, beep. And I'm just like, even though I'm in this like drugged out haze, I'm laughing. I'm like, I warned you.
You're like, I told you.
The nurse is running in like, what's going on with the heart rate? He's a distance runner. It's okay. Like, So, yeah.
So
like,
can you
that's
mute it?
all I really remember.
That's
they just
funny.
they had to keep it on because they have to keep track of the heart, but they just had to know, okay, it's going to keep beeping. Nothing we can do about it. His resting heart rate's sitting at 47, and we just put him in a relaxed state. So it's probably more like 43 at that point.
Wow.
Because, yeah, you see the stuff that's happening, but you're just like, that is so cool. Look at that razor. That is awesome. I haven't seen a razor like that for years. And, yeah, you're just like the happiest dude ever. So it was a weird experience.
Oh my, is all I have to say. That goes in the story. It goes in the story, people. That goes
everything. So read it. That one should be ready. The script is almost done. There's a second top secret script that I'm not going to go into because I've only told like one other person. I told Corissa about it when we were at Nashville Comic-Con, but I'm keeping this one top secret.
Wraps, people.
It's top secret, but that one is starting right now. I just had a meeting about that book, so that one will probably be done by the end of the year, and it involves public domain characters. So that's kind of the spoilers.
Well, then we'll talk about it next year when you come on the show.
For sure, yeah, we'll talk about it. And then let me see, for cons, I'm also doing in September. I'll be doing. There's a horror con in Ontario, California, not Canada. So
Paris and Ontario, all in California.
Paris, Ontario, but I'm just driving around. So that one, and then in October, LA Comic-Con. So that's kind of the con schedule for the remainder of the year. And yeah, that'll keep me busy. Corruptor 2 immediately will be followed by Immortal Era 10. That's where you can get drawn in. You want to be a cannibal. You want to be eaten by a cannibal. You'll have your chance to be either one and have an original art page to put on your wall. Show off to your friends. Check it out. I
ate this dude. So everybody, I just want to remind you to sign up on the pre-launch page for Corruptor 1 and 2. This is going to launch in about a couple of weeks. And it will be live. Mob hitman working for hell, trying to corrupt the soul, and he sucks at it.
He sucks at it, and he's gonna get. He's also going to be recruited by Heaven. But what does Heaven want him for? We find out in issue 2. We finally find out why would Heaven use someone as awful as he was to do anything. But we find out Heaven has a different idea for him, and we also in issue 2. We see that there's a marketplace that souls on Earth, the corruptors and redeemers, can visit with all kinds of crazy things that they can buy.
Oh my gosh. No more spoilers, people. You just got to sign up. Just go sign up. Ed will take you on a wild ride. I have 100% sure that this is just a wild ride. So make sure you sign up. When he gets back from vacay, it's going to go. So I'm super excited for you, man. And this is one of the things I love about being a part of the indie community is that I get to watch your career kind of happen. You know what I mean? And like we get to touch base and be like, here's where I'm at. Where are you going to be? And like, remember that thing we were talking about? It's already out. Yeah. It's so cool. It's so cool just to be a part of the community and to kind of like cheer each other on. So thank you for coming on the show. Tell everybody what your socials are so they can give you a follow. We had some people sign up for Oh, thank you. Thanks, Pops.
Thank you.
Signed up for Corruptor, but signed up for Ed's YouTube page, and then he has a ton of socials out there. So thanks, James. Thank you. He had Path of the Pale Sauce with his trade paperback. So
nice.
So go take it away, Ed. Tell us where we can follow you.
So you can follow me. All of my social media is under Finish Line Comics. Be careful that you go to the one that's actually Finish Line Comics on Instagram, because I found 3 fake accounts that are Finish Line Comics with periods and things like that. Mine is just Finish Line Comics, all spelled out. No hyphens, no dashes, no periods. So if you find one with hyphens, dashes, and periods, report it so they'll block the thing, because I've reported them all. But yeah, Finish Line Comics on Instagram, on Twitter or X, also Finish Line Comics. I have a YouTube at Finish Line Comics. We shared that. And then I also have a TikTok. My TikTok, I put all the book break mini reviews on there as well. And then my Facebook is my last one. So the Facebook, I share any of the new things about upcoming Kickstarters and upcoming appearances. You can find those on my Facebook. So all of those, if you go to finishlinecomics.com, you can sign up for my email list to be the first to find out what's going on. I send sneak peeks of art there. And also on certain days, I'll be like, okay, here's a free PDF of Immortalera 1 or Corruptor 1. I did send out some free ones on Free Comic Book Day. So you can get free digital copies once in a while. So sign up for that mailing list. I don't spam you because I hate email more than anyone else. So I won't send too many because I delete more emails than I read. So I want to make sure I only send once a month and don't waste people's time.
We all appreciate that. I always try when I send my Kickstarter updates to put what I'm going to talk about in the title. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, this is on this date.
Yeah.
And then you can click in and you can read more. But I already gave you all the information that's important, usually in the title. So you could be like, oh, she's launching this on this date. Delete.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Well, thank you again for coming on the show, giving us the update. It's always wonderful to have you on. I feel like you and I creatively are, walk the same path. So
yes,
super cool. And thanks everybody for coming. Make sure that you are excellent to each other and kiss your babies. We will be back next week. Drop a like, drop a subscribe, show some love. It's free. Talk to you all later. Bye.
The future. The final frontier. It has never been so uncertain as now. AI, VR, haptic wear, nanotechnology, mass destruction with a remote click. Now we are finally seeing the true potential and dangers of an ever-connected and overly policed hyper-technological world. Have we finally become the architect of our own demise? Is there still hope? Welcome to the future. Welcome to Punk Droid.
Chicken nuggets.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.